This Racecraft TV stream is brought to you by Artesian Builds. Artesian builds high-quality custom PCs made to order for a low price. Contact Artesian Builds today to get started on your own custom PC as low as $64 a month. All Artesian builds are made live on stream. You can watch your builds and talk to the builders live at twitch.tv/Artesian Builds. For more information about Artesian Builds, check the link in the description. Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to the virtual off-road racing series, the Pro 2 Championship here at Wild West Motorsports Park. I'm Austin. I'm joined by Evan Pasoko, and we're here live at Racecraft TV.
It is going to be an exciting race. You know, we're now past the halfway point in this season. So 4 races down, 4 races to go at a championship battle that has completely been flipped on its head over the last 2 weeks. Now, Austin, obviously, we all knew coming into this that Cameron Peterson was going to be one of the drivers, if not the driver, that everybody had circled as a championship favorite. And you can see coming into this evening, 93 points, sitting atop the championship, just ahead by 9 over Brandon Proudfoot. But if you remember, back at round 2, the first trip we had here to Wild West Motorsports Park earlier this year, it was Proudfoot getting the feature race win. At that point, Peterson hadn't had a race win in either of the opening 2 weeks of this series. Since then, back-to-back wins at Wild Horse Pass and the Crandon Short a week ago. So Cam Peterson is in his zone. Can he keep Proudfoot at victory lane here in Sparks, Nevada for a second time in a row is going to be the question.
Second time around is definitely a question, but remember the top 3 are starting at the back of the grid. So Pearson, Proudfoot, and Edmondson will be in that reverse order at the back of the grid of today's qualifying session. Which, speaking of qualifying, it's going on right now.
And 10-minute session as always, right? So these drivers are going to go out, they're going to get a decent time in at the start of this session, and then they'll kind of work on it, push a little bit more here, give it a little bit more there, and try to pick themselves up. We look at a Cam Peterson, though, right now. He currently sits top of the board with a 5:0.629. That is about the second best time that we've seen all afternoon. The only driver to top that was Cam Peterson. Practice got down into the 50.5, so we'll see if any drivers get in, and that is not an ideal way to get through the first hairpin.
That was a misclick by me, but heck, that was a very bad roll by Connor Berry, as he took a giant barrel. A few new drivers over here. Luke Knupp, very young kid, a actual buggy driver, one of those modified kart drivers.
And a lot of these guys, you know, especially this year, and I know that Luke earlier this year wasn't that acclimated, you know, with all the stuff on the service, and they've had a ton of time, right, in the Pro 4s and in the Pro 2s through this virtual off-road racing series, through a lot of the special events, a lot of them organized by the teams and the real-world sponsors behind the scenes to get some track time in. Currently sitting about halfway through the running order. Luke is in the number 7 spot in queue right now, so looking for a good performance. You're taking a look at Cole Ashlock just behind Luke, P8 right now in the qualifying standings.
Got that screaming Patriot paint job on as he flies over that massive first jump here, pitches the car sideways around that hairpin. And Wild West is such a fun track. The most up and down track on iRacing, figuratively, and airtime wise as well.
And, you know, it was an unrelated point that we were talking about road racing before we went on the air. But, you know, we had mentioned hairpins, and that's basically all this track is, right? The left, the right, the left, and left again. So it's only a 4-turn course, but it is 1.5 miles long. So that's, you know, very, very different to what we saw, you know, with Crandon Short and even with Wild Horse for that matter, where you do have a little bit more of those, you know, not hairpin corners and almost rhythm sections, will you? Here it's set it up for a corner, get through the jumps cleanly and smoothly, reset, and do it again. And I think that's why we saw such a competitive race here for the second race out this season. I talked about the race win going to Brandon Proudfoot. At that time, had him in one of the top spots in the championship. You had guys like Tyler Menninga, Joshua Gaiman on the podium for that race. Drivers that are right now only good enough as you take a look at Gaiman for P10 and Menninga for P11. So maybe that goes to show that some other drivers have been getting some more practice time in since that point, or it goes to show that we may just have a crazy race in store once we get there.
We will definitely have a crazy race. Joshua Gaiman driving for Racecraft TV Esports. Racecraft Esports, not Racecraft TV Esports. That's a horrible name. But, yeah, definitely one of, well, new signee to the team, and is currently sitting in 10th place right now as we ride on board our Racecraft TV drone cam.
I'll be honest, I'm still waiting on a sponsor for the drone cam, because I know you love the drone cam so much.
Well, if you'd like to sponsor the Racecraft TV drone cam, hit us up over at racecrafttv.com and write it out in the contact us section, and we can work that out for you.
I'll accept my commission when it comes through. I mean, it's a good perspective, especially you talk about how this is the most up and down racetrack when you in terms of elevation gain and drop on the surface, and even late in the queue session, you can see top of the screen as we get inside of the final 2 minutes in queue. Drivers are still trying to get out there. On board again with Edmondson leading the queue session. Still his qualifying time from last I checked in with it has improved significantly. So all these drivers have found about an extra 1/10 to 2/10 of a second in the second half of queue compared to their best lap times in the first half of qualifying. Now your top 3 drivers with sub 50.6s, Edmondson down in the 4s. So he is really feeling good.
Yeah, Joshua Edmondson definitely feeling absolutely on point right now. See, he's currently sitting ahead of Cameron Peterson, but remember, top 3 in the championship all have to start at the back, and the top 3 in the championship are the top 3 in the qualifying times.
So no shock there, right? I mean, these drivers, I think at this point in the season, have found that consistency. I think we have a really good idea of who the drivers are going to be that'll fight for this drivers' championship this season. And as you mentioned, with those inverts for the top 3 based on the results, they're always going to have to work through the field, right? I mean, I don't think that unless they have a really bad week and they end up in the back once, and they'll probably just start for the front and win for the front the week after, these guys are going to fight through traffic. The question isn't will they get to the front. I think the question is always going to be how close to the very front will they get, right? Are they going to crack a top 10? Are they going to crack a top 5? I expect Peterson and Edmondson and all these drivers to be on the podium in this despite the traffic. But at a track like this, when you're working through heavy traffic, we've got 16 trucks in this race. Nothing's ever guaranteed, and they're always going to have their work cut out for him, but Peterson's shown that he can do it again with those back-to-back wins, so starting at the back doesn't necessarily take him out of it by any means.
Yeah, we're looking at Josh Fox, who will be starting up on provisional pole as the timer hits 0 here in qualifying. Checker flag is out. Joshua Fox sits on provisional pole due to our championship leaders starting up at the back. Now, the only thing where the championship leaders do not start at the back of the grid is at Crandon, where they do that giant land rush start we saw on how immediately a race qualifying, you can't really have somebody start at the back of a grid in a land rush start where everyone starts side by side. And Trophy Truck Racing absolutely on a high yesterday, last night, this morning, throughout the entire weekend. The Baja 1000 came to a close, and I actually had family racing there.
It's always one of the good events out in my neck of the woods, and good to see that people were able to get out there and get that going here. And you know what, I'll take my sim taste of the short course action. Looks like everybody off the track, still 20 seconds on the queue clock. If anybody wants to get in and improve their time, gives them that time so they can complete a lap. But I think everybody has called their quits, and we have an idea of our starting grid.
Now, I do have an idea of our starting grid as we're actually waiting for the session to tick over into qualifying. I believe we're having a little bit of a iRacing glitch right here.
3, 2, 1, and we should be good.
Right on the money.
I've done it once or twice.
It is Josh Edmondson taking the pole award ahead of Cameron Pearson, followed by Brandon Proudfoot. But starting up on pole is going to be Joshua Fox, Connor Berry, Zachary Drapkin, Joshua Gaiman, Luke Knupp, Cole Ashlock, Roland Jones, Mason Prater, and Tyler Meniga at the end, followed by Trenton Briley, Darren Hardesty, Jack Bruker, and Beauty Crier at the end of the grid. 16 cars are lined up here, and Joshua Fox is the one that will be starting them off on pole.
And one change to when we raced here for round 2 back in October is the race is a little bit longer. We go from 16 laps in distance to 18 laps long. That's going to modify when that mid-race competition caution comes out. We'll be racing to lap number 9 before we hit the reset button. I think that's going to be the best opportunity, obviously, for those championship leaders who have to start at the back of the grid to gain positions early. You don't have to get all of them because, of course, those leaders will get drugged back in by we slow things down, and then you kind of have a second opportunity. So I know we say qualifying only, we go right into the feature, but treat this as your heat race, right? Get your track position or, per se in quali. And then when we get to the second half after that competition caution, call that extra 9 laps the feature.
You find your sea legs at the start of the race, and then when you get to the feature part of the race, you take those sea legs and you go out rowing your boat and battling those waves.
And you can see those lead trucks pulling off. 3 of them, right, of the top 4 are going to have to drop all the way to the back. You mentioned Josh Fox. He's going to have a great view from the front of the field in that Williams Esports entry.
Yeah, the Williams Esports car has always been up near the front of the grid. It's just not the most consistent finishing sometimes, but he's definitely going to be feeling very good as they lead out. And we're going green flag racing here at Wild Wild West.
And already Fox up against the guardrail on the outside of the racetrack. Look at Connor Berry forcing his way through. The 17, Joshua Gaiman also going to come on by. And Fox gets shuffled to the second row right off of the get-go in this race. Side by side for the lead and on the bottom. New race leader out in front. And now Fox is into the K-rail. And Menin goes on his lid.
Goodness, we got a giant pile up. The back, we got cars upside, 2 cars turtling, 3 cars turtling.
Dude, Josh Fox got turned as well. So 2 at least, Menin and Fox. And then I also think that 1 truck was on the K-rail. I think that's Darren Hardesty got stuck. He'll have to take a tow to pit road. So 3 of your 16 cars take it out early. There's the second look. Just an absolute mess.
Oh my goodness. This is the craziest start we have ever seen.
I didn't see that third flip.
He was hidden behind the other car that was on his side.
Yeah, too many on their side to keep track of. So 3 over, 1 on a K-rail. That's a quarter of your field off on
Joshua Gaiman leads this race. Cole Ashlock, Darren Hardesty Jr., Josh Fox, and Tyler Meniga were the 4 cars involved, but it's Joshua Gaiman leading out the field. And from that crazy start, well, I think we had our race reset. Cameron Peterson and Joshua Edmondson. Josh Edmondson is up into 5th. Brandon Proudfoot down into 11th. He was involved in there. We were riding actually on board of him, but Cameron Peterson down to 8th. But Joshua Edmondson moving up into the field now, sitting in the top 5.
Yeah, they're really lucky to have avoided most of the damage, right? That's your concern as one of those top drivers in the championship is that, hey, I'm going to go in the back of the pack. Sure, I know I'm 2/3 of a second faster than these guys. It's going to be harder working through traffic, but I don't want to get caught up in somebody else's mess. And they're fortunate to not have gotten the worst of it. Of course, not surprised that Joshua Gaiman's leading this race. I mentioned earlier he finished 3rd here in our first trip out to Sparks, Nevada for round number 2 of this championship. It was Connor Berry off of the get-go, but Gaiman was able to make the pass there on lap number 2. And as we come to the end of lap 3, looks like Gaiman's trying to extend his lead. It's Gaiman 1, Berry 2, and Zachary Drapkin now to a race high P3 after he started in 6th.
Yeah, Zachary Drapkin, very good start. He's being chased by the Oreo car of Mason Prater. Very, lot of sponsorship on there. A very nice use of the bumper, too.
Yeah, just let them know you're there, right? I don't think we need to be shoving people up and over like we did the last time right here, the right-hander for turn number 2. But you know that Josh Edmondson with a lot to fight for, right? I mean, he won the season opener at the Big House when we raced at Crandon to get this whole season kicked off back in late September, and it has been a trickle down in the championship since then. Of course, Proudfoot eclipsed him for second. Peterson all the way to the top of the board with 2 race wins and 4 starts, leading the championship. Edmondson is still in a very good position to maintain a podium position, but he's only 3 ahead of Joshua Gaiman, who's outrunning him right now. So certainly a lot on the line for Edmondson, and I don't think that he's going to be that patient with somebody like Prater if he holds him up at any point. But for the moment, Drapkin and Prater up the road doing a good job of not letting Edmondson close in. There's some side-by-side further down the road. Here comes Cam Peterson sliding by on the inside.
That was
Trenton
beautiful.
Briley.
Trenton Briley had that outside line, but Peterson just slid it in there. They cut him off immediately off the exit. Peterson chases out Edmondson to keep his championship lead. It's been extending because remember what happened to Edmondson at Wild Horse Pass. He actually finished down in 9th place after a massive incident, and he had to go into the pit lane to fix his car that finished the race without a nose.
We've seen a lot of drivers, I think, get through these with some missing bodywork, and let's go on board now as we go down the front stretch in this battle now. Off into turn number 1 with Josh Edmondson looking up at Prater, then Drapkin, then P2 Barry, then still race leader Joshua Gaiman. Edmondson's only 3-some seconds off for the race lead. I think his objective here working lap 6 is he needs to make some moves on those 2. Get Prater, get Drapkin, or at least one of them to get you that much closer for the competition caution in 3 laps, and then try to chase down the top cars. Last time by, fastest car on track was Cam Peterson, but he's even further down the road in P6, trying to make up some time, and he's got some room right now, you can see. That's why he's putting down some good laps.
Yeah, Peterson all on his own. He's in that clean air, and that's definitely helping him. Edmondson sitting at 5th. He would love to be in that 2nd row for that competition caution. And, well, he's looking to be Milk's favorite cookies target. Hopefully he has some Milk to dethrone that Oreo car. Oh, what a defensive move by Prater. Got a little bit hung up right there, and Edmondson just gets buried into there. That's going to hold him up and allow Peterson to close in on them.
Yeah, just a bit of an over-rotation by Prater in the left-hander for turn 1. Got himself out of shape, and it was a bit of a touch by Edmondson. I don't think Edmondson meant to get into him. That's why he caught him so off guard. If he wanted to move him, he could move him. And right now, he is looking down the back stretch as they look for turn number 4 to then fly back down the downhill section to the front stretch. And there's the touch into the quarter panel. Moved him out of the way, but staying in the throttle is Mason Prater. He does not want to give it up. Here's Edmondson now to the inside.
Prater, Edmondson, a little bit of contact between them. Look who's chasing him down. That's Cameron Peterson. Edmondson down low. Prater around the outside. Edmondson trying to hold that inside. And here is Peterson riding on that K-roll. They're going to exit this side-by-side jump and looking like it's Nitro Circus. Now Edmondson around to the outside through Rockstar Hairpin. They had touched a little bit off the exit. Prater and Edmondson getting into each other. Edmondson swinging it back, and there's Peterson around the outside of Prater.
All this beating and banging in the battle for 4th is why Peterson is here. He was more than a 1.5 seconds off of this battle, but as they've gone after each other, it's going to be a win here for Edmondson. He picks up P4, shy of the competition caution. But Peterson, a long way around in turn 4, going to make the pass on Prater. He goes to 5th, and I think that's worst case scenario for Edmondson. I got 1, but so did Peterson. And now he'll be on my bumper, headed to the comp yellow as we work lap number 9. That's going to come out any moment.
Competition caution about to come out right now. There it is. It's not an iRacing yellow. This is a driver-led competition caution, but leading the race is Joshua Gaiman. I feel like he's going to be very, very happy about this one right now. He's in the perfect spot. That start went all for him. And And he
Yeah, and he
has
didn't have a huge track position, right? I mean, on the start of the race, with the drivers dropping back and him being seventh, he was able to move up quite a bit, right? He found himself all the way on the inside of the front row, but I mean, he just got it on speed. Barry won the whole shot, basically,
and
got the
avoiding.
lead. He passed him on speed. Yeah, so it's been good for the 17. Let's see what Edmondson can do. Back up to fifth. Peterson back up behind to fifth. It is Edmondson in fourth, I should say. 9 laps down, going to be 9 to go this time.
Yeah, it's all in Gaiman's hand. And it's time to kick up the dust and go back to green flag racing here at Wild West Motorsports Park. Gaiman puts the pedal to the metal. We're back here going green. And what? Josh Fox getting a wild off the track.
Yeah, he was about 5 feet from getting shish kebabbed on the K-rail, but he was able to stay in it. They left the bottom open and a spinner.
Mason
and
Prater.
It's Mason Prater. He had such a good opening half of this race. Prater gets turned around, and he'll plummet to P11.
Back up here to the Rockstar hairpin. Nothing. Oh, no, we got another flipper. Was that Josh Fox?
Second time, Ashlock. Cole Ashlock. Second time he's flipped in turn 2 tonight.
Oh, no. How many flipped cars we have? 4, 5?
I think we're at, well, we had 3 at least, plus a beached car on a Jersey barrier and now another. So I think we're working at least 4 flips.
All right, 4 flips, and that's got to be a record.
Well, don't test these guys. We still got 8 laps to go in this race and 3 races to go this year. So I don't think that's an insurmountable number as these positions get more and more consequential. They're going to give less and less room. Watching the fight for third, Zachary Drapkin still got it, but the first challenge going to come from Edmondson. Looking in turn 2.
There's a touch.
There's a touch up the road. It was with Barry. Barry's out of shape over the jump, and Connor Barry going to drop to third. 3 wide now in a fight for second.
Edmondson got the elbows out, snuck his way in there, getting a little bit dory with Connor Barry. Now Edmondson looking down to the inside of Zachary Drapkin, and Joshua Edmondson bullying his way up into second place.
What a lap for the 58 machine. I was literally about to mention that he didn't have that good of a restart, right? His was better than Cam Peterson, who's now going to go to the bottom of the 20 to Barry and 1, make it a slide to try to take P4. A little bit of an over-rotation. Looks like that Barry is going to fight back, but Peterson should get the spot in the end. And then what happens? Contact for second and third. Edmondson's there to pick up the pieces, and now he has 6.5 laps to make up time to Joshua Gaiman. The difference between them right now is 1.9 seconds.
Barry's not giving up.
Honestly, I don't think that's enough time, though, for Edmondson to get up to Gaiman just based on lap times these guys have been putting in. So battle for fourth rage is on. But I think Joshua Gaiman's in a real good spot to win this race as Peterson finally gets the job done now at the end of lap 12.
Yeah, 1.9 seconds separates Gaiman from Edmondson. And with the little amount of laps remaining here, just about 5 laps, that gap is going to be so crucial with 1.7 seconds separating them. And their last laps only separated just by 1/10 of a second. And
it's just not enough. I mean, you know, best lap time even in favor of Edmondson, but only by 1/10. And in fact, you talk about that difference. The last lap actually better for Gaiman than it was for Edmondson. And there's no excuse. You can see Peterson now fighting on Zachary Drapkin. He wants to get to that third step on the podium. Again, trying to get 3 straight race wins. Obviously, he has a challenge, and he's getting a little bit physical there, a bit of a shot, but Drapkin is doing Edmondson a huge favor here by not backing down, and nor should he. You know, put up a fight to the championship leader.
Watch him go over that jump, head up into that hill, into the hairpin. Cameron Peterson trying to set up Drapkin. He used that camera as kind of like a mini ramp, and grinding it as Zachary Drapkin uses it all the way down to the inside line as they head into Rockstar. That inside line is where you want to be, but oh no, Drapkin's overshot it and Peterson slings into there.
Second time tonight, Cam Peterson has executed a perfect slide job in the undercut where he baits that truck in front of him to protect the position into the corner, to swing out wide on the exit, and for him to come through and pick up the pieces. And that was a masterclass move by Cam Peterson. He's finally in a podium position, back up to third with 4 laps to go. Is there anything left for the 48?
Cameron Peterson has to hope that Joshua Edison and Joshua Gavin get into a physical battle, and one of them ended up, well, a little bit sideways, but can Edmondson catch up to the 17 of Joshua Gaiman? That is the real question, because Gaiman, 1.3 seconds. We've seen Edmondson pull out some laps that are absolutely insane. Last lap, 4/10 faster than Gaiman for Edmondson. He's got the pace to close in on him, but can Gaiman defend the spot?
And that's the kind of lap he needs. He put down a 51.475 the last time by. And don't forget, Josh Edmondson was your pole sitter, got sent to the back based on that top 3 invert for the championship standings, but he outqualified Cam Peterson. Another 0.2 of a second going to be taken out of Gaiman's gap. And keep in mind as well, Austin, he doesn't have to get all the way to him, right? He just has to get within maybe 0.5, 0.4 close enough to be able to send it in and try to go for the bumper within striking distance, figuratively and literally, I think is his hope right now.
Yeah, it's definitely within that half a second range for that striking distance to absolutely be let go on. And, well, he's closing in on that 1 second range, so close that it's actually bringing up our battle bucks here for the win between Gaiman and Edmondson.
1.3 seconds. It looks like it was 1.302 last time by the start-finish line. Timing and scoring good update now with 2 laps to go. The gap goes down to 1.293, so no significant gain
Gaiman
for
actually went faster
there.
Gaiman went faster that lap than Edmondson. Actually, no, I've read that wrong.
Yeah, Edmondson's still the fastest truck on track. He's even a little bit better than Peterson. So Peterson's not picking up anything from third either, but he needs another one of those 0.4 of a second laps like he had the lap prior. If he can do that, he's now down within a second. So he's really on the move this lap.
But can he do it? They have 5 more corners to go. Edmondson coming up to the final turn of the lap, trying to chase down Joshua Gaiman. As they head down that hill, a few more jumps to go, and I see the white flag is in the air here at the Lucas Oil Wild West Park here for the virtual off-road racing series. Edmondson, Gaiman battling out for the lead. And there is that 4/10.
He made up as many as 0.4 halfway through that lap, but the second half of the lap was when Joshua Gaiman put him back to it. He's going to drive it all the way into turn number 2. Edmondson, only 2 quarters left. Joshua Gaiman looking for his first win of the season.
Joshua Gaiman racing for Racecraft Esports, first signee for them, and I also believe it's going to be Racecraft Esports' first official broadcasted win. And he's got 1 corner to go, 1 more jump. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner of this race, it's going to be Joshua Gaiman.
And he had to do it against the best. Obviously, the invert hurt Edmondson and hurt Peterson, but they had that entire second half of the race almost uninterrupted to be able to try to chase him down. They did a little bit, but Joshua Gaiman played a perfect race. He stayed mistake-free, and he becomes now the 4th different race winner in 5 weeks of competition for the virtual off-road racing series. And this is a huge win for him to hold off Joshua Gaiman, because as I mentioned, Gaiman was only 3 points ahead of, or 3 points behind Edmondson for 3rd in the championship. It should give Gaiman an opportunity to fight for a podium spot in these points.
I'm sorry. I don't know if he caught that sight of one car just absolutely flying across the screen.
No, I missed the full send.
I don't know who that was. I think it might have been Connor Berry, who just straight just flew into the sea. But here is your podium. Joshua Gaiman, Josh Edmondson, and Cameron Peterson, I believe, are going to get a little burning it down here by Joshua Gaiman. So let's give him his dues. Josh Gaiman takes the win, and let's bring up our race results right here.
Was one of the tighter margin victories we've seen this season, right? Of course, we've been working with that invert all year, but for the 8/10 of a second difference between Gaiman and Edmondson 1-2, it was 2.6 seconds back to Cam Peterson, who finished in the number 3 spot, and then you get into the 4s and 5s and whatnot. Drapkin, Barry, Nutt, Proudfoot, Briley, Prater, and Cryer through your top 10. Roland Johns and Jack Bruker finished on the lead lap. Cole Ashlock and Josh Fox did not, and Tyler Meninga and Darren Hardesty Jr. didn't go the distance. They ended up on the hook.
Yeah, Joshua Gaiman takes the win, and so let's bring him into the broadcasting booth. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your race winner, Joshua Gaiman.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Josh, that start of the race, you were down all the way in 7th. You came up into turn 1, you stayed in there, and then turn 2 happened.
Yeah, I really didn't see what happened at all. I was more focused on not getting run over myself, I guess. Went into 1 and kind of had a little bit of help from behind, and just tried to hold the bottom as good as I could, because I knew it would put me in a good spot to at least get a run at turn 2, and just stayed as wide as I could to give a lot of people room.
So, the start of this race, you got into the lead, then you held the lead. On the restart, you had Joshua Edmondson behind you. What was going through your head when you saw Joshua just keep closing in on you after that competition restart?
Yeah, I mean, I know he's one of the fastest guys in the Pro 2s, and as long as I could run a smooth line, I had a pretty good chance at staying ahead of him, but, you know, I knew it was not going to be easy.
Well, that result puts you up, I believe, into 3rd in the championship as of right now.
Yeah, it's the only time I've really looked forward to an EOL.
Well, next race, it is going to be Wild Horse Pass, a lot shorter track compared to Wild West. How does that track compare to this, and how does, well, preparing for EOL been a qualifying time?
It's definitely a harder track to pass on, in my opinion. This one here, you can late break people and kind of throw some sliders and stuff. That one's a lot of momentum, so there's really one corner you might be able to kind of send it in there a little hard. You know, maybe 2, but it's definitely a different challenge with being a lot tighter.
Well, it's a win for you, Josh. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, you gotta give a shout out to Racecraft esports. Josh picked me up a little bit ago, and really looking forward to pushing past that. And I believe we have Artesian on the truck. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it personally, but yeah. You know, that's about it.
All right. Well, congratulations, Josh. Congrats on the win, and we hope you're going to have a great night. Evan is standing by with Josh Edmondson.
There's not many times you could be disappointed with a P2, but I know Josh Edmondson wanted to fight for the win this afternoon at Wild West Motorsports Park. Instead, it's the runner-up, and I'll give you the congratulations, Josh, but just talk us through this one, obviously having to work from the back of the field because of the invert.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with the way it went. Got pretty lucky the first lap there with kind of getting around the pile-ups that were happening and not getting any damage at all. That was huge for me to be able to do that. So I'm actually really happy so far with this result.
Obviously, you've started the season with the trip to Victory Lane, winning the opener at Crandon, and then since then, I found yourself 2nd in points and now 3rd in points, and depending on what the official interval is, with Josh finishing just ahead of you. What are the next 3 weeks going to look like? Is there anything that you can kind of pick up on or try to improve on? Obviously, aside from just the fact that, getting put at the back of the field because of the invert is a disadvantage, to try to pick up some race wins and secure maybe a 2nd or 3rd in the championship.
I'd like to win another one. I was creeping up there, trying to catch Josh. He just was running too solid for me there. I couldn't quite make anything happen, but yeah, I mean, Crandon being the land rush start, that's kind of anyone's game too. So I'd really like to get a hole shot or something there and win another one of these things before the season's over. But yeah, I think I might be in fourth now after this because those guys had a little cushion on me, and Josh actually winning, who was right behind me. I'm not sure how the points are going to work out, but if I don't get the end of line at Wild Horse next week or 2 weeks from now, that could really help.
So I don't know how this is going to be handled by the race control, but I can tell you that at least the points that I'm looking at now updated is Cam Peterson still leading 114 and in a 3-way tie for second between you, Josh, and Brandon. What's it like fighting with those 3 other guys when you're so even on speed and whatnot, fighting for this title?
Awesome to hear. And it's really awesome to race with those guys. That's what makes this series so fun is everybody's really fast and super competitive, but also clean. We can race around each other, and not wipe each other out and have good clean battles. Obviously there was some contact and stuff in there when you get that many trucks, but no, these guys are awesome. It's fun racing with them, and yeah, I'm glad I can get up here on the podium against them, that's for sure.
We'll let you get out of here and get set for the race at Wild Horse. And 2 weeks before we let you go, anybody you want to say hi to?
Shout out to the Rocket Racing Setups guys. They have my setups on there. You can check them out. And yeah, you guys for putting on the show. I'm looking forward to go watching it.
Second place finisher Josh Edmondson. Josh, thanks for chatting. And we'll continue on down to the next step in the finishing order. Austin, I'll go back to you to talk with Cam Peterson.
Yeah, I'm sitting here with Cameron Pearson, who finished 3rd in this race. Cam, walk us through that start, because I believe out of all the drivers, you were the one that was pretty much, had to actually stop the truck for a little bit.
Yeah, that's what it felt like through corners 1 and 2 there. I just took it wide, and because that's where no trucks were. And yeah, I just prayed for a clear path, and almost got pinched off a couple times. But yeah, still able to make it a clean, thankfully. Really good battles coming up through the pack there with Connor, Zach, Mason. It was all really fun.
Well, you finished up on the podium. You still have the championship lead. It's a 3-way tie for second place behind you. Does that bring in some confidence for you?
I think so. I mean, just like the result today, coming from last to 3rd in like a 15 truck field is, that says something. So, I think we just got to keep doing that. And I think you get these top 3 or even top 5 finishes, and I'm hoping to get the championship wrapped up. It's going to take a lot of work, though. It's not easy at all in the Pro 2s getting through traffic. So just look for openings and, yeah, just give it my best shot.
Well, you definitely gave it your best shot today. You fought through all adversity to get back up into the podium position. Hopefully you can do it again next week. Before we let you go, Cameron, anyone you want to thank?
Absolutely, you guys, Racecraft, for putting this on, and Josh for organizing all this stuff. It's and it was either practice or qualifying, but I think there's 9 cars in the 50-second bracket, and that's just unheard of. And so the level of competition here is stellar. So hats off to everyone that's been showing up to these races, because everyone's improved by a lot, and it's really good to see for the Pro 2 trucks and the Lucas Off-Road Racing Series. So as well as Jim Beaver Esports as well. Hats off to those guys, always push me to do my best. General Tire, Fistful of Bourbon, Polaris Razor, Vision Wheel, Rigid Industries, Dirtfish, GSP XTV Axles, Gibson Performance Exhaust, Acronis, and Sant Racing Fabrication.
All right, thank you, Cameron Peterson. Congrats on the podium, and hope you have a great night. Evan, any closing words for us?
Well, I think I said it all when I updated us on the points, right? A 3-way tie for second in the points. And that's not even to say that it's only going to be a battle for second on back, right? These guys don't want to let Cam walk away with it. It's going to be a 14-point difference. Is it insurmountable? No. Is it going to be tough? Absolutely. They expect that. But, we go to Wild Horse next week. That's another track where that top invert's going to hurt those 3. But then with 2 races at Crandon, maybe a little bit more of an equal playing field. So it's been so fun watching not only everybody in this virtual off-road racing series, but those top 4, right? Cameron Peterson, Brandon Proudfoot, Josh Edmondson, and Joshua Gaiman go at it. We've had 4 different race winners in 5 weeks, and these final 3 races are going to be fun. So looking forward to next time out when we go to Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park and do it again.
It certainly is. Excitement is in the air. Thank you all for joining us here for the virtual off-road racing series Pro 2 Championship. From Pisoko, I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a great night. This Racecraft TV stream is brought to you by Artesian Builds. Artesian builds high-quality custom PCs made to order for a low price. Contact Artesian Builds today to get started on your own custom PC as low as $64 a month. All Artesian builds are made live on stream. You can watch your builds and talk to the builders live at twitch.tv/Artesian Builds. For more information about Artesian Builds, check the link in the description.